Speaker is Erven from Bristol, and he has the best title in the conference called Starting Up the Quantum Industry and the Importance of Ethical Meeting.
Thank you, Krishna. Can everybody hear me all right? Pretty much? All right. Hi, my name is Erven. I'm from the University of Bristol. I wear a number of different hats, but today I'm primarily going to come at it from an industry focus. And lots of people have been asking me about this title. So it's sort of a two-part talk. We'll get to the tweeting a little later on. So first off, I just wanted to point out that it's a really good time to be a quantum entrepreneur, to be working in this space. I shudder at the fact that I'm about to use this sentence, but in my day, when you thought, and it's only a handful of years ago, when you thought of quantum companies, you'd be lucky if you could come up with D-Wave, ID Quantique, and maybe you remembered Magic. Versus these days, you've got the heavyweights in there, Microsoft, IBM, Intel, putting tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars into this research area. And not only that, you've got, big name academics, whether it's Chris Monroe co-founding IonQ, or Robert Sholkoff doing quantum circuits, or two of our very own PIs, Jeremy and Mark, who are out in California at the moment, founding PsiQuantum. And a quick Google, the picture is nice and rich, so it really is a good time to be doing these kinds of things in industry and not just academia. There's all sorts of support and investment out there, started, of course, with sort of smaller fundings, the DARPA types, ARO, ARC Centers of Excellence in Australia, eventually leading to our UK National Quantum Technologies Program that lots of us will be familiar with, and just about to launch a €1 billion flagship program in the EU. And not only that, that's still sort of academia, but you even have investment firms, like the one in Waterloo, Quantum Valley Investments, set up specifically to fund quantum startups. And so for our own small part, this is what I'm going to spend just a little bit of time talking about, we're trying to help this along in Bristol with our new Quantum Technology Enterprise Center. And I'm sorry, one other chart I wanted to show before that is the money is coming a long way too. So in the last, you can see, 3 years, you've had 4 times as many investment rounds as sort of 14 years previously. Again, it's a good time to be in this. So what about the motivation first? Well, to use my market lingo that I've picked up, the UK put a lot of money towards the technology, but sort of two ends of the spectrum. They funded academics in the lab for a lot of money, and big companies with Innovate UK. There's nothing in the middle. So this is a big market gap when we took a look at it. There was nobody funding a couple of crazy people to start up a small company and really try some crazy ideas, rather than just doing widget 2.0 that's now quantified. So this is what we hope to provide with the Quantum Technology Enterprise Center. We have a nice vision. We really are trying to create the pillars of a new UK quantum industry, and it says UK here, but really in terms of Q-Tech, we are happy to have people come from all over the world and not even necessarily stay here. We just want you guys to go and be successful with the new quantum industry. We have a precise mission. We want to develop thought leaders and entrepreneurs that are going to take these tech out of the lab into the real world to do real things. And we're really trying to build an ecosystem here in Bristol, not just the technology, but investors and all the other things you need to get a real company off the ground. And in terms of the goal, we have one clear one for our fellows. They start in October. By April, we want them, we say a clearly articulated business proposition. We want them investable by April. A well thought out business plan in their back pocket that they can now start pitching. And I should say, we are completely equity free. We ask nothing in return for this other than to go out and be successful. If you happen to hit it big, and you'd like to donate back to Q-Tech, we could use a yacht or two, so by all means. But honestly, it's equity free. Just go out and be successful. You don't even have to stay in the UK. A quick word of the program. This is mostly aimed at the students and postdocs, but this could be a prof that wants a career change after 30 years. Who knows? It's cohort based. We have dedicated incubator space. And you learn all sorts of stuff in enterprise, systems engineering, quantum engineering. We do have an accelerator program. We're thinking of people that are already in hubs, in research groups, to sort of dip in and out. But this is hard, because what we found with the enterprise fellows, it's a full-time job and then some. So you have to show us a whole lot of commitment to get in on that, but not impossible. We also want to do some sort of short courses, again, to support the hubs. And I do think there are a couple of companies out there really willing to do something radical. Put together a small team of 3 people, a physicist, an engineer, and a business person, it's not a joke, and put them through QTech. Let them step out of your company and think radically different. It's an investment, yes, but one that could pay off for years to come. I think there's somebody in the UK or in the world that might actually try that. And we have sort of 2 test cases. The first is a typical fellow, they've just finished a PhD, maybe they have a really good integrated laser delivery system, and now they want to try and commercialize this. Or you've got a hub person, maybe up in the Quantic hub, that wants to commercialize a particular correlated photon imaging system, for instance. And what does it look like? Well, first off, you're not here to do research. We had 28 odd applicants last year, and of 24 of them or so, their first question was, where's the lab? And I can't stress enough, this is not here to do research, you're here to do a business plan for quantum ideas. You do get a salary, which is a great bonus. Most people don't when they're trying to start up companies. You don't have to live in mom and dad's basement. You get some travel, and there's other associated costs that cover the course. There's incubator space. There's additional funds for new concept demonstrators, albeit these are going to be simple ones. We can't fund a QT program, but we can get you some concept demonstrator support and maybe some travel for all the sorts of commercialization activities. And mentoring and coaching. So I should mention, Jane's at the back there, wave your hand. So she's our enterprise lead. And this, again, I can't stress enough, this is not an academic exercise. She's done there and done that, started her own company and floated it. And we also have 2 entrepreneurs in residence. I saw Yuri. Where's Yuri? Raise your hand. And these guys are, again, excellent. They're on, Claudio Marinelli's the other one. And Yuri, you've just seen, they're on sort of 5 or 6 startups already. They've been there and done that and built real companies. And the last thing we do is it's all about networking. We connect you into the UK industry if you don't know it already. We do all sorts of showcases. Sorry, I should point it out at the very beginning. We partnered with Cranfield University that has the Bettany Center for Entrepreneurship. So really well-known people in the field. Shai used to be the center of the Enterprise Entrepreneurship Center in Cambridge. It is now at Cranfield. So he had a big hand in setting up enterprises and all those things in Cambridge. So what would you actually do if you came on QTech? Well, QTech is now something like a startup, so of course we think in quarters now. So the first quarter is, what the hell did I just get myself into, basically? You get to learn about what you're about to do. All the different skills you got to gain, and already we get you talking to people. So we get you out into the hubs, talking about your tech and about other people's tech. The second bit is all about, can you actually gather some evidence that the idea you have, somebody might at some point pay you for it. And not every idea is going to fly, but at the end of this you should have some sort of feasibility study showing that yours should. Or maybe just change ideas after that. 3 is all about funding, because if it's a year-long program, and if you don't want to be homeless at the end of that year, you better have gotten funding. So you've already started to pitch in Q3. You need a nice robust business plan you're confident to pitch for. And then you go out and do it so that you have some money, and ideally have a startup to begin year 2. A real one, real funded one. We have 4 fellows currently in our first crop. You can see us in our nice incubation center here. And 2 of them are in the audience. Where's Matt? Saw you. Yep, and Phil. He's hiding, but he's back there. So we have 4 fellows. 3 of the 4 are incorporated. All 4 are getting serious traction with investors. If you want to know what it's like, they're under no obligation to say it's all great things. They'll tell you warts and all what it's been like. So go and ask them. And you can see us. We travel to Cranfield often, doing workshops there as well. All right, that's the first part of the talk. Now everybody's been wondering about this spit. I'm very aware that I'm going to try to fine line here. But I try and teach the CDT students that you can't be afraid of putting your foot in your mouth. So I might be about to do exactly that. But stay with me. All I ask is hear me out before you start throwing things. So ethical hacking. There's this notion of ethical or white hat hacking in the security world. Somebody who sort of stress tests systems. If they find vulnerabilities, and key amongst that is before announcing it to the world that Windows is insecure, they first go and talk to Microsoft and tell them the vulnerability they've just found and give them time to fix it, to patch it, before they announce it to the world. We actually have, and sorry, you can get certified for this. I mean, this is a profession. We actually have our own white hat quantum hacker too, when you think about it, Vadim Makarov of Waterloo, who with his nice box of tricks did exactly the same thing. He hacked one of the first commercial QKD systems. But same thing. He was a white hat hacker. When he did it, he talked to ID Quantique first, let them patch it, and then he published his paper. All right, so where am I going with this? Well, here's the conundrum of the physicist turned entrepreneur that sort of occurred to me the last week or two walking into school. A typical academic paper looks like this. It's sort of 8 to 10 pages long. You spend 80 to 90% going into exquisite detail of what you did, the measurements you took. I mean, it's to the point where you almost put error bars on your author list now. Versus a business plan is 8 to 10 pages, double-spaced, lots of pictures, and if you're lucky, you've got half a page in there to actually talk about the tech. And it's to a completely different audience. High level, they basically trust you that it works. So now, what can go wrong? Well, when some of this actually starts to meet the real world. So first you go business plan, then you go to a VC pitch, and again there, it's a 10-minute pitch. You got 30 seconds to talk about the tech. And then it starts to hit the real world. And what happens? Well, what's the temptation of an academic? And you can't fault us for this. This is what we're trained to do, right? You get that paper to review, and you get out your red pen. Because you love to point out, oh, you didn't look at this, go and look at that, measure this. You should cite me here, here, and here. Those kinds of things, right? Sorry, the key message then is this is what we're trained to do, but when you start to see this quantum industry that's coming along, it's so embryonic, it's so delicate yet, that before you go and tweet, think. And I gotta say, I enjoy this just as much as everybody else, right? It provides all sorts of entertainment to go and read blogs like this. But I do wonder whether there could have been a better way. What if, before just tweeting and maybe getting a couple extra followers, we engage with the company, just sort of like the ethical hacking, and say, okay, I see where you're going with this. I know it's for a different audience, but you're stretching it just a little too far here. So, this is my need for responsible tweeting. And I want to suggest that you really, before you just tweet, before you bash a company, because lots of times it's not going to be through any fault of theirs. They're just having to simplify their message over and over again. It's gone through a PR office, it's gone through a reporter, it's gone through all sorts of things. If it goes too far, go and talk to them first. Have a think about how you might change their message so that it meets your demands, but also can still be applied into the wider world. And then for our own part, if you're in a company, if people approach you like this, listen to them. Give them some time and try and adapt your message so you're not saying anything incorrect, anything wrong, but it's not incorrect to the academics. Because ultimately you're going to want their support, right? You're going to want their seal of approval that what you just built does what it says on the tin. So this is I took a crack at a definition, white hat physicisting. So I guess this is personally, it could be computer scientisting, academicing. But basically exactly this. If you see something you don't like, have a think first and then reach out to that company before you just go bashing it on Twitter. And for our own part, because I'm part of a small startup trying to get quantum crypto off the ground, we are trying to be very careful in what we say, right? We say strongest security, because this is sort of relative, a level of security. We never say unbreakable, unhackable, provable. Because I guarantee you that if I get my mom using it, she's going to still call me 3 times a year and ask me for a bank password over the phone, and then all bets are off, right? So, and last takeaway that I wanted to provide is, because I've come into contact with this recently, enterprise is not a dirty word. There are those out there that actually somehow think that this dirties the science or is unnecessary. And so first off, it's not a dirty word. I mean, it's my favorite starship, among other things. And it's ultimately beneficial, because we've been promising something with this technology for the last 40-odd years. It's got to do something soon before all that major funding goes away. There'll still be bits and jobs here, but the major stuff is going to move on to, I don't know, pico-engineering, whatever the next big thing is. And it's going to benefit us as well, because as experimentalists, we'll get better tools that we can play with in the lab to build better devices. And as theorists, we'll get bigger computers to run our algorithms on, so it'll benefit everyone. So, I'd like to leave you with the last thought of, rather than sort of expending a lot of unnecessary effort fighting each other, let's try boldly going together and building something big. Thanks very much.
I really enjoyed that, and mostly, I really enjoyed that, and I understand and feel for a lot of what you said, but I'd like to follow your lead and try to put my foot in my mouth.
Sure.
And say that I misinterpreted where I thought you were going with this ethical tweeting at first, because I was thinking that you might be saying that some of the press releases from companies are unethical, and instead you sort of put the burden of proof on the other side. And although I think you're right, sometimes we're too quick to attack, I also think that the assumptions are very different in the hacking community. There we know that it's more dangerous to have a revealed vulnerability out there than an unknown vulnerability. And if you're thinking about something that's more like advertising copy that has something incorrect in it, I would ask, is it better to have something out there with a lie that I've revealed, or with a lie that I help people maintain secret?
Trying to make sure I got my head around what you just said.
What I'm saying is if I'm asking someone for money and I say something incorrect, then it's good for people to try to protect investors or consumers by pointing out that it's incorrect.
Yes,
It's
sorry.
not risky in the way that it's risky to reveal a vulnerability in the index.
Yes, sorry. I absolutely think I agree with you. I'm not saying companies should be allowed to say whatever they want to get the money. Absolutely not. It's in our best interest to reveal that. Just give them the chance to, before all the bad press, just give them the chance to fix it, is all I'm saying.
Any other questions?
Did you sell your votes on torpedo?
I can certainly take your order and your money for one. That's 50% of the job.